This is Mary Beth Harrison with Dallas Native Live, and a little bit of technical problems this morning, but you know, why not? It's one of those days here. But I have Tammy Farmer with me, which I'm so happy. And Tammy, I'd like to tell the world that I am so brilliant that I saw that the weather was going to be so bad and all over Texas, and called you immediately and had you on. But we've had this program for quite some time now.
I know.
So maybe we are so future thinking. I think that's what we're going to go with, is that we knew it was going to be weather. So we just, planned ahead.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think meteorologists need to talk to us because they're wrong most of the time, and we got it.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. So Tammy is here to tell us everything we needed to know, but didn't know we needed to know about insurance. And I have learned so much from you. And I tell everyone I have on my show, I have probably 99.9% use them personally, or they wouldn't be on my show. So not only do I have experience through my clients with Tammy, but I have experience personally with Tammy. And so I have learned more about insurance working with you than I ever understood in my life, because I think it's just insurance. Well, you have to have it, get over it. You have to have it. It's like, well, wait a minute. That's not a good enough answer, but is the answer that all of us go with. It's like you bought a house, you need insurance, or you're renting and you need renter's insurance. And that's the end of the conversation. So I want to take this conversation a whole lot more forward. And then I do want to talk about the weather.
Okay.
As much as I hate to talk about the weather, we're going to. So let's talk about insurance. We've talked about some of this before, but it bears repeating because it's such a huge topic. It is something we are so ignorant about. And it's crazy that we are, but you kind of go, I need insurance. Okay. So let's talk about, I'm buying a house at $300,000. Let's just make life easy for a second today. How does that work as far as I know the lender's going to require you to have insurance on the property for the full $300,000. But part of that $300,000 was land. And so help me understand how all this comes together.
Okay. So a lot of times now, the lenders will have us, let's say that I go into the company and it says that $300,000 home, the replacement cost is only $275,000. So a lot of lenders now are allowing us to send in a copy of our replacement cost estimation detail, and they will allow us to only insure it for $275,000. Because in order for replacement cost coverage to go into effect and be effective, we have to ensure that what that company feels like the replacement cost is. And so because of that, a lot of times with the companies that I broker with, we will put an additional replacement cost coverage of like 25% extra of the dwelling amount.
I was wondering about that. Okay.
Yeah. And so then that will insure for over the 300,000. So with every single company, we have to do a replacement cost estimation tool. And so if we send that in a lot of lenders and showing that it's replacement cost coverage, a lot of lenders will let us wrap the insurance for a little bit lower than the loan amount.
Let's talk about replacement cost for a second. So I bought my $300,000 house 5 years ago.
Okay.
We all know what's happened with prices since 5 years ago, and worse, replacement cost.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, because talk about something that none of us go back and review. I say none of us. I mean, I'm speaking in broad strokes. All those people, people close to the subject said.
Yeah.
But really, I would venture to say that most of us don't go back and look at that. So let's talk about that. How do I fix that?
So what I always recommend to my clients is when we write the policy, we need to review that policy before it renews. So a lot of companies have the inflation guard on their policies, and so you'll see the dwelling amount will go up a little bit due to inflation. But like in today's age, like this year, with lumber and the cost of everything, even that little inflation would not be enough. And so I always encourage everyone to meet with your agent once a year before your policy renews to make sure that the cost to replace that home today isn't any different. And if it is different than what it was when you first wrote that policy, that it's adjusted.
You know, I mentioned renters when we started, but it's the same principle for renters. I mean, you moved in with a couch and a chair and
that's right,
4 dishes, but now you've been there and now you have 12 dishes and a couch and a chair and and so your belongings have gone up quite a bit too. And the same is true as a homeowner. I mean, it's not like we get less stuff. I don't know why it doesn't work backwards.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't seem to. We just kind of seem to keep adding more and more stuff to it. So So that's another thing is the contents as well. Like, what would it take? Really walk around your house with your eyes open. What would it take to replace all that? Because that's
and I have a lot of people that companies always have like a minimum. So on renter's insurance, they have a minimum amount of content. But you wouldn't believe the people that will do renter's insurance and they're like, I don't got but $10,000 worth of stuff. And I'm like, how many bedrooms is your apartment? Well, it's 2. Do you have a couch? Yes. Okay. So furniture, bedding, couch, love seats, everything. You're already over 10,000 probably.
Right. Yeah,
and that's not including everything else.
Sheets, pillows, black. Yeah, they don't think about towels.
Exactly.
What would it take to replace everything?
Yes.
I mean, you need, 7 towels, maybe not again, but nonetheless, you're going to need 2 to 4. I mean, it is staggering when you start and when you rented, that was prices back then. What's it going to take to replace it at today's value? That's another thing that I think is staggering. I know it's a little weird because we do have that supply issue right now that hopefully won't always be there. I mean, I get that. And hopefully we'll get past this ridiculousness.
Sure.
But right now we're not past it. And so just trying to get a refrigerator, washer, and dryer for my clients right now while they're moving in, we're talking sometimes months before we can get that stuff. So this is not for the faint of heart. This is not also, before I forget, for everyone listening, if you want to go to the chat box, and I'm going to try and watch both of those as I talk here, which is not always easy. I'll put Tammy's information in there first of all, and then if you have any questions, go to the chat box as opposed to the Q&A, and I'll be trying to watch that while we talk. So, all right, I don't want to get off of this subject first before I get back on our horrible weather and what's coming. So reviewing every year before you renew, before you write a check, it's kind of like I tell people every month when you pay your electric bill, go change your filter. It's that same principle. And so that's a good key to where when it's time to renew your policy, and something that I did, which is how I got to Tammy in the first place, was not only did I need to renew my policies, and I have multiple because of businesses and houses and whatever, it wasn't just one policy. And so it prompted me to stop and have her review everything. And the savings of what I had been paying with a well-known national brand, I'm going to leave it at that, was staggering. I mean, it wasn't just a little bit of money saved. It was an enormous amount of money saved, which is not the point, because the point is you need insurance. But the point was someone sat down with me and had a conversation of, here's what you have. This is why it's not sufficient. And here's what you need to do. And up until then, it's like, checkbox, I got my insurance, and you move on down the road. So your education through the whole thing, Tammy, was what was both refreshing and eye-opening, truly eye-opening. So, you know, it's the old, you have a choice in what you fly, so watch who you fly with. And you definitely opened my eyes for something that for all of my life, which has been a while, a day or two anyway, of just accepting what's been handed to you. So be sure whoever you go to, if you don't go to Tammy to get review on all of this, and she'll be the first one to say, you know, I can't do anything for you. This is good. So understand, it's not going to be a, oh my gosh, this is horrible, you need to jump ship. If it's good, it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually have a client that I'm quoting right now that if she would just have one little endorsement on her existing policy, she really needs to stay where she's at. You know, and I don't have a problem telling people that, because my philosophy is if I can't offer you a better package, a better policy whenever you have a claim, I'm going to have to deal with you again, and I don't want to be the one to tell you, well, your other company would have covered it. So, you know, my job is to do what's best for you. So,
yeah. I'm typing your information.
Sure.
I'm typing over here while you're.
Well, and another thing too is that your insurance policies, your renewal every year. So if your policy renews on, you know, February 1st, then your renewal documents that you get to tell you any increases, decreases, any limits or changes, you should get them 30 to 45 days before your policy renews. And they do that for several reasons. They do that. So number one, you can be prepared to pay that money. Number two, so you know if there's an increase or a decrease. Number three, you can have it looked at to make sure that you want to renew that policy. So they give you that time to get that second set of eyes is what I call it.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. It's not like today and today only, you know.
Exactly.
I had 5 seconds to do this. That's a really good point. As all of yours are. It's just, I just learned something from you every time I talk to you. It's like, okay, let's see, let me write that down. So let's talk about, well, all right, I'm going to jump ship one more time, because not only is this home, but it's also cars. And having everything in one place is your savings.
Yes.
Is where you get your most savings.
Yes.
So could you go to ABC and do your car and XYZ and do your house? Yeah, you could. How exhausting. I mean, honestly, it's just one more thing for me to do and one more person for me to talk to.
Exactly.
You could, but your biggest savings is to put all of that into one thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So can you? Yes, you can go to 400 different places if that's what you want to do, but bless your heart. I'll be the one making those phone calls and writing.
You know, your discount for a multi-policy discount is normally about 15% saving. And so, I mean, 15% when you're talking about, you know, a home and an auto, I mean, that can be pretty significant.
Without a doubt. No, without a doubt. And you start having, you know, multiple houses or multiple, you know, things, boats, whatever, you know, it definitely starts to add up. But again, why would you want to go to 15 different places? That's just crazy. That doesn't even make sense. Some little things that I want to point out, because I do, when I'm showing houses to my clients, is things, little things, which seem silly, but I bring it up every time I see it. That's like the fire hydrant. The fire hydrant's right in front of their house. And I know for some people, it's like, oh, that's irritating. We're not going to be able to park right there. But there's a savings for that on your insurance.
Yes,
even if the fire hydrant is down a house or two, you need to be observant of that stuff because those things start to affect your rate. As opposed to the fire hydrant being blocks and blocks and blocks away. That's just a thing. And security systems. What else am I missing here?
Security systems, where the fire department is.
Oh, good point. Yes.
Because whenever we're going in and I'm doing a quote, it asks me, the city, state, zip code, the county, and it asks me how many feet the fire hydrant is. It asks me how many miles from the fire department. And it also asks in bigger cities and smaller towns how many units. So how many firehouses, how many fire trucks do they have?
Oh, interesting.
And a lot of times, like in Dallas, they'll pick that up. But sometimes they don't. We have to look it up. So
yeah, I didn't even think about that, the distance and all of that and the equipment. That's just the things you have to do. I just assume to make a phone call and you give me insurance. It's that simple, Tammy. It's kind of like finding a house for our clients. You call me, you need a house, we got this.
Yeah,
exactly. I wish. Oh my gosh. All right, now let's talk about the weather.
Okay.
Because for those of you who are not in Dallas, we're getting ready to kind of batten down the hatches. We're supposed to be having a really cold ice, snow, et cetera, coming our way within the next, 12 hours and then lasting for about 48 hours from what it sounds like. Although knowing Dallas as I do, it'll be 70 by Saturday. So
probably.
I just, my out of town clients, they're so funny. They're like, when does this change? I said, in about an hour, it'll just give us a minute, it'll change. So we go from, the teens to 70 within just craziness here. But anyway, I love the city. And the good news is this kind of weather is far and few between. So that's really the good news. It's not like we live in Michigan or wherever that it's free. It's like, this is why I don't live in those places so that I cannot have this all the time. As it is, we get a free snow day and we're all excited about it. So it's okay. So what can we do preventative to get us through this cold snap? Because it is going to be 20s teens for about 24, 48 hours.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
So in your house, there are things that you can do inside the home to help keep your pipes. Really, the big deal is your pipes. And I think the reason everybody is a little bit more prepared for this time versus this time last year is because we already went through this last year, and a lot of people didn't have coverage or they didn't know what to do. So, make sure that your pipes are, you can buy insulation to insulate your pipes to keep them from freezing. Really, the pipes that are on outside walls are the ones you need to worry about. Open your cabinet doors. That way the heat can get in there to help those pipes. With your washer, which those are on outside walls. So try to keep your dryer going because that keeps it. Make sure that your heat in your house is on so it helps those pipes. Any way you can keep those pipes. Space heaters are an insurance no-no. But whatever you can do to make sure that your pipes stay a little bit heated, it will help that water not to freeze. And also keep your faucets dripping a little bit to keep the flow.
In cold water.
Yes.
Someone made a comment to me when I've gone around all my vacant houses today and turned on water and turned on heat and done all the things that you just said. And someone made the comment of, I don't need to do that because all of my plumbing's on an inside wall. And I'm like, I've never heard that sentence said in my life. It's like water is water is water. and pipes are pipes. And when it gets cold enough, those two things don't go well together. So I want to address that comment because I thought that was short-sighted. Am I right or am I wrong? Is it only outside walls that we need to worry about, or is it interiors?
No, I mean, in my house, my husband thinks I'm crazy, but in my house, I turn all my faucets on to a drip, like a steady flow. No matter if they're on an inside wall or an outside wall. The ones that are on an outside wall are a little bit more, you have to wash those a little bit more.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I don't know if you know this about me, but I lived in the state of Vermont for 7 years. Yes, from 2007 to 2014. So I kind of picked up a lot of those habits because we've dealt with this all the time.
Right.
And so you need to worry about a pipe is a pipe. Water's going to flow through those pipes, whether it's on the inside wall or an outside wall. I wouldn't chance it because pipes freezing and bursting can cause a lot of damage and be expensive. So I turn all my faucets onto a slow drip, and I open all my bathroom cabinets, my kitchen cabinets. I open all my doors.
Yeah, I was thinking, as you're talking, drips are great for interiors, but I would think if I was on an exterior wall of the kitchen sink being on an exterior wall, I think that one would definitely be running
a steady flow. Yep.
Yeah, so that the drip doesn't freeze at some point and stop. Yeah, there are some that I would go out of my way, but I'm glad to hear you say that because I felt like when that was said, I don't know. I was like, wow, I've never heard that because I'm like you. I'm the drip it. It's a faucet. It's got water. Just go with it. Just work with me here. So is there anything, and the outside faucets, how insulated do those need to be? Let's talk about that. Because I know you can buy those cone things that styrofoam and they're cones.
Yes.
Is that sufficient, or do you need to wrap the thing and then put that thing on?
So as far as better safe than sorry, I would do all of it. I mean, last year, I'm telling you, last year was just, it was so horrible with all these people that, and I can guarantee you all those people are going to do better safe than sorry. They're going to insulate it. They're going to wrap it. They're going to open their doors. They're going to do all that because that can, I mean, I've seen water damage from last year with pipes freezing all through and the pipes didn't just freeze on those outside walls. It froze all through the house. And I can guarantee you those people, I know there were some that was over $100,000 in damage because, it's just to be better prepared. I would do everything you can. If you can insulate it and wrap it, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I don't think people worry about fire, and that is
yes.
However, I don't think people realize how horrible water is. Water travels. So it's not like it drips and it stops right here. It travels, and so it'll go under your kitchen cabinets, for example. And so now it wicks right up through that wood, and now it's ruined your kitchen cabinets, and not to mention what's inside it. But forgetting that, it's water travels, and it gets loose, or if you have hardwood floors, or I mean, even tile, it'll get on. It's not like it's impenetrable steel. It gets underneath there. And
what else does water do? It can cause mold. So let's say your water freezes and it bursts a pipe that's maybe in that wall somewhere, and you don't necessarily know that it burst. Well, and it sits there because it starts flowing, it starts dripping, it sits there, it can cause mold. And a lot of insurance policies do not have mold coverage. So, there can just be a lot more damage with water that you don't know. I mean, a fire, you're going to know. But water can sit there and it can cause more damage. And I'll also tell you something. We were talking about home and renters, but we had this happen to us last year in our camper. Our hot water heater in our camper burst. we thought we didn't drain we thought we drained all the water out, and we didn't. So, and camper, a lot of camper policies won't cover that. So make sure if you have a camper that you drain all the water out of your water heater. Just a little extra information.
And I'm in a building where, while it's not that tall of a building, we do have sprinkler systems, and a lot of our homes have, meaning the fire sprinkler is, in the ceiling. And that is something that burst all over Dallas last year. That caused probably the most damage of everything. And it certainly did in my building on the first floor. And so shutting that off and draining it. However, here's the however. If you do that and there's a fire, your insurance won't cover it.
Yeah.
And so there's that catch-22 on that one, because the sprinkler systems is what caused a huge amount of damage in our city. And yet, I don't know what you do to be preventative about that.
Maybe have a fire extinguisher. Just make sure that your fire extinguisher is up to date and available, because they do expire.
Yes, they do.
And so make sure that, especially during the summer and the winter, but if you're going to turn your water off for like a condo, townhome, whatever, make sure you have a fire extinguisher just in case.
Yeah, that is a point that was brought up, is that if you were to turn that sprinkler system off, and that is your first inkling, is let's just turn it off, let's just drain it this year, and let's go through this again. But your insurance won't cover should there be a fire during that period of time. And think about it, you're running your fireplace, you're running your gas cooktop, and so the propensity, you've got candles burning, especially if the electricity's out. So that's a real, do I, don't I? But draining the sprinkler system, which is your first thought, it's got bigger implications. And so just warning you guys about that, because that is your first instinct, is let's just drain it. We're not letting that happen again. And there is no way to insulate those pipes. Those pipes run through the ceilings, and anyway, that's another one that kind of jumped up, that like, wow, I didn't see that coming. There was a lot of things last year that it was like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of that going on. So what have we missed on this cold snap? Is there anything else that we can preventative or
So I would say get flashlights.
Candles, if you can do it.
Get flashlights, get firewood, get lighter fluid, or don't keep. I know some people, they have the fire pits and the outside fireplaces. They keep their lighter fluid and stuff outside. Bring those inside. That way, if you need to use your fireplace, you can use your fireplace. Another hot topic for making sure that you're doing winterizing maintenance is on a pool. So many pools last year got damaged. So make sure that you're looking at your pools, and if you have a pump, that's freeze protected, which if you own a pool, you'll know that, then you really don't need to worry about it. But if your pump is not freeze protected, you need to make sure that you're winterizing that pool.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's where the damage comes from. You're absolutely right. Any outdoor water feature. One that has nothing to do with you, but it did come across because with losing all our landscape, and of course that's not anything that's insurable, but we all lost so much of our landscape. And next week I've got Johnette Taylor with Roundtree Landscaping coming on, another one of those fortuitous times to have somebody come talk to us. But one of the things that about protecting your trees, because that's a huge investment, is if you can go out right now and soak those trees. I mean, like really put the water on it and just let it soak and get those roots wet and get some water down there. You need to be doing that right this second, because before it starts getting too cold. But that's one way to protect trees. Now, will it protect your shrubs? Probably not. The shrubs really got hit hard, and there certainly were some shrubs that were far more winter acceptable than others, and we learned that very quickly. The ones that will never come back. I mean, they didn't make it, and they're not going to make it. Some of some came back, but some of them weren't going to survive that. But that was one thing I did learn about trees is. And then keep them cut back away from your house, because that's another thing for you, Tammy. Let's say, because they were talking last night on the news about the weight, because this isn't just going to be snow. This is going to start out as ice here. That's a whole other conversation. Snow is one thing. Ice, that adds, I can't remember what the amount, but the amount of weight on our trees and our electrical lines, sorry, big word, is huge. It's really was kind of staggering to me how much weight that ice puts on it. And so if a tree were to fall on your house, is that covered? How does that work? I mean, I know we can't replace the tree. I get that. But talk to me about that.
So trees are, they're a little difficult, whether they're covered or not. So the weight of snow and ice, well, let me start with a lot of companies, if they see, a lot of companies, when we write the homeowners policy, then they'll go and just do an inspection. And we'll get a letter saying you need to tell your client that they need to cut back their trees. So if you have trees that the tree limbs are over the roof or touching that roof or something on the house, chances are your insurance company is going to ask you to cut those back. But let's say that you have a tree that's in good condition and the weight of snow and ice, it just leans over and it falls on your house. There's a possibility, depending on what company you're with, that will be covered. For the damages it does to your roof, not to remove the tree. Right. So, companies are different on what they would cover. I've seen them cover it. I've seen them not cover it. If the tree fell due to the weight of snow and ice because it was old and because it wasn't taken care of, they're probably not going to cover it because that's a maintenance issue.
Right, and that's something that every homeowner should think about is if a tree is coming over your roof line, that needs to come off. Forget snow, ice, forget all of that. The wear and tear on your roof is that tree brushes against your shingles over and over and over with all the wind we have here. That's a big deal. And so it will also affect the replacement of your roof because clearly it was basically your fault that the roof wore out in that spot. So really, really important as a homeowner that you take care of your trees and get them back away from your house. It always is staggering to me when I see homes built and trees put right up against the house. I'm like, it's kind of like a puppy. Did you think he was going to stay small for forever? That little tree was just a twig and now it's this humongous. And the ones that are the biggest culprit are actually my favorite trees. And they're so fabulous. And that's our live oaks, or any tree that doesn't basically lose its leaves. So bad enough that the weight's going to be on a tree that is dormant, meaning all the leaves are gone. So it's just twigs of a tree. But when you have the tree, the twigs, and the leaves, now your weight is exponentially higher. So our live oaks, our magnolias are two big trees that are big. They grow. I mean, some of our live oaks, it would take 2 or 3 of us to get our arms around them, which are fabulous, fabulous, and such a positive to our homes. However, it is really incumbent on you to take care of those trees. And of course, too little, too late right now, but is something to keep in mind is that external forces that cause internal problems. Because when a tree falls on a house, it's now put a hole through your roof. And if it continues to rain or whatever, or as the snow melts on the roof, where's that water going? Only one place for it to go. And so now you've got other issues. Speaking of which, I want to talk about one other thing. I know I'm jumping all over the place, which you know I do. Shiny penny. Here, let's talk about this. When to file a claim and when not to. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because a lot of, again, I go back to your big national companies, and you all know who I'm talking about. They're the ones that advertise on TV all the time. They got a lot of money. They got a lot. You're right. It's all a numbers game for them. However, when you call and say, I think, don't know, I think I might have some hail damage or whatever, and I'm thinking that my roof might be suspect. I'm telling you all, that company is immediately going to file a claim on your house. Whether it really happened, whether the roof really did go bad, whether you claimed it and got any money for it, it doesn't matter. They snapped a claim on your house. So I want to go backwards and talk about that, and then I want to move forwards as to why is that even a problem, because when I go to sell my house, how's that going to affect me? So let's go backwards. When, for you and your company, when someone wants to file a claim, talk me through that.
So, for my client, if you wanted to file a claim, I would immediately tell you to call me first. I should be your very first call.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to ask you what happened. And now, if a tree, I will tell you, I had a client at one time who a tree came through their roof and like missed their bed by this much. So you immediately need to file a claim because that's going to be a lot of damage. Yeah, exactly. She called me like at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh.
And so, and I'm okay with that. But always, always, always contact your agent. Now, some companies will not give you advice. They will tell you that you need to call the claims department. The problem with that is that claims count against you in several different ways. So they're doing you a disjustice to tell you to file a claim when you might not need to file a claim. So, for example, if you have a $1 million home and you have a 1% deductible, you're going to have a $10,000 deductible. So if you have hail damage and it only is part of the roof and the rest of the roof is fine, is it going to cost $10,000? You don't know that. It could, but it could cost more. It could cost less. So I would advise you to get an estimate first. Let's see your deductible.
And most roofers will do that for free.
Exactly.
Good roofing companies. Good companies will come out and give you an evaluation on that roof. Always.
They will.
Yeah.
And if they tell you have to file a claim first, you need to get a different roofer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's really the process with claims is, you know, if you're my client, I tell all of my clients, I am your advocate. You call me first. Period. And then I'm going to advise you, you know what, this is your deductible, get an estimate. Now, you always want to do what you can to stop damage, to stop more damage. So you might need to put a tarp on your roof. You might need to have like Surf Pro come in and help you stop the water. So you always want to do that first, you know, and do what you can to prevent any further damage. But I will guide you. That way, if you file a claim, it needs to be beneficial.
Right. Right.
So,
and I want to go now, take that forwards. So when you go to sell your house, your insurance agent, whoever that is going to do their due diligence. They're going to do what they call a clue report. A clue report, which gives you kind of the history of insurance use. So let's assume you're the seller and I filed a claim on the roof, but nothing ever came of it. I filed a claim because some water got on the floor and I filed a claim, but nothing came of it, so I never did anything. It's going to show that your house is a high user of insurance. Or you filed a claim and they paid for it. They filed a claim, they paid for it. Either way, the house is a high user of insurance. So your next insurance company is going to get there and go, do we really want to insure this house when it's such a high use insurance house? Let's flip this. You're now the buyer and you made all these calls and all these claims, whether you got the money or not, whether the insurance company covered it or not. You as a user are a high user of insurance. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's like crying wolf, you just keep crying wolf. It's like, no, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. Well, no, it's not. Well, okay. All right, I'll call you back. Sky's falling, sky's falling. No, it's not. Okay. And so I can't stress how important it is that you have an advocate and that you can call Tammy and go, hey, I'm a little concerned about my roof. I had the roofer out, which is step number one. And here's what he said. Tell me what you think. Is this worth my filing or not? Because the minute you make that phone call to the wrong insurance company, you got a ding against you. And so when you go to sell, it makes the house either one, uninsurable. That's possible. The insurance company won't take a chance on it. Or two, the insurance is going to be so high for that new buyer that either way, or when you go to renew your insurance. I mean, let's look at it that way too. It's like, well, Mayday, these are heavy users of insurance. We're gonna raise their rates. So just know that insurance is there. And I know this is a kind of I don't know, it's a point where we all go, well, wait a minute, I've been paying for that for years and I've never used it. What do you mean I can't call and use my insurance? But it's kind of like your health insurance. It's not there to take something that was already sick and make it better. They're there to take a healthy person and keep them healthy. Tammy's the same way. She's there to take a healthy house and keep it healthy, not take a house that's been dinged over and over and over again and go, oh, let's toss a coin and hope to goodness this one goes well. Well, why would you do that? I mean, why would an insurance company take a chance on that? And so, so I totally get that, but that's kind of how that works. Am I missing anything on that?
And homeowners insurance claims and auto insurance claims, exact same. I have seen so many clients that their deductible was $5,000 and the insurance company paid $175. And so on some kind of claim, and I'm like, so tell me what happened. Well, I didn't know they were filing a claim. They told me to go ahead and file a claim. And then once I got the estimate, they sent me a check for $175. And so now that's two dings because you filed a claim and they paid out on it. And auto insurance is the same. If your comprehensive deductible, you get your windshield replaced and your windshield costs $300 and your deductible is $250, just pay $300.
Exactly.
Don't file a claim for that.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah. People don't think about their deductible it's not, the ends didn't justify the means. It wasn't worth it at that point. And so, gosh, we're almost out of time. Give me some final words here. I love talking to you. I could sit and listen to this forever. You are such an incredible source of information that I've been selling real estate for a really long time. I started when I was 12 and that's how I got here for 31 years. But seriously, it wasn't until you came into my life that I understand the why or understand the why not I hate to be in a position where I would have asked the question if I'd known to ask it. I hate being in that position. And so you have helped so much with the let me go ask the question, and it's like with real estate, there is no stupid question. There is no stupid question. It's when we don't know, we only know what we know. And so, and some of our information has been very misinformed.
Yeah.
And so I really always appreciate all the gems that you bring of the why, most importantly, the why, but then the how. After you give me the why, you usually give me the how, which is always, just great. So give me some final words here. What are we missing?
So I would tell every single person that watches this, that listens to it, your insurance agent, you should be on a first name basis with them. They're on a first name basis with you because you only have one agent. But with all their customers, they should know, whenever you go in and say, my name is Tammy Farmer. Oh, yes, you have that claim, blah, blah, blah. How's everything going? When you call them and you want to file a claim, they should tell you, now wait, let's think about this, because I want to do my due diligence to make sure that your rates don't go up unless they have to. And that's really what claims boils down to, is a claim is going to affect your rate. So if your agent is your advocate, which is what they should be, then they're not going to have you file a claim unless they have no choice.
Yeah, when the damage is severe enough, that's what insurance is there for.
Right.
It's kind of like your health insurance.
Insurance is worst case.
Yeah.
It should be worst case.
Yeah, it should be. And like the example you used of the windshield is $300, your deductible was $250. That $50 that you're going to take out of pocket and just pay the stupid thing will far outweigh what the rate is going to go up to.
Yes.
So you have to think it through.
Yes.
Both ways, once my rate goes up, I've eaten up that $50 really quickly. So,
And now I have a really bad accident, and I'm going to have a $15,000 claim because they totaled my car. I didn't really need to use my claim before, but now I have two claims against me for two payouts. And so I would just tell you that your agent, whoever they are, should be your advocate. And if you're having a problem getting a hold of your agent, Mary Beth can tell you that I'm in these offices. They see me, they know how to get a hold of me, my cell phone, my office. I'm in the Dallas area, I'm in offices all the time. If you can't get a hold of your agent, that should be a red flag. And if they're not talking to you every year when your policy renews and telling you the changes to that policy, if they're having to depend on a letter to tell you we're not doing water damage anymore, you need to be asking questions. So that would be my advice, is make sure that your agent, whoever it is looking out for your best interest. And they're your advocate.
Yeah. If you're dialing a 1-800 number or an 866 number or any of those other, and it says push 1 if you want, push 2 if you, it's like, that's not your agent. You need to be able to call straight through and get through to whoever your agent is. So those are great words of wisdom, without a doubt. It makes all the difference in the world. So this just good information. For those of you who are out there weathering the storm all over Texas, be safe and stay warm and enjoy snow day, because I think that's what we're all going to get out of this, which is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. Anyway, Tammy, thank you so much for your time and your information. It's just so worthwhile. So thank you. And we'll see.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We'll be talking landscape, and we're all going to need that by next week. So thanks so much for listening.